Hi everybody, it's Marissa and this is behind the song of Out of Darkness, The City. So this song was actually just written last year. Came out of nowhere. It wasn't in the plans for this album Out of Darkness and ended up being the song, the title song of the album Out of Darkness. Since the album's called Out of Darkness and the song's called Out of Darkness. Anyway, so I live in a big city. I live here in the Clearwater, Tampa Bay area. This is my hometown. I'm sixth generation. And anyone who knows me knows that I don't do well with the crowdedness. I don't do well with the fast pace. I don't do well with the tension in the air and just the overall feel of a big city. I actually had moved to Georgia for 3 years back in 2011, 12, and 13. And I loved it so much because I lived in a sort of a small town. Big enough that you weren't out in the woods, but it was pretty small, especially compared to where I'm from. I felt like a completely different person. One of the main reasons is because the traffic was basically non-existent. Living in a big city, you have to deal with traffic, congestion, not moving, people trying to kill you, you trying to kill other people. It's a big thing for me because the traffic here is pretty bad. I don't do well in traffic. I used to have to drive an hour to work and an hour and a half back home. It doesn't normally take that long. It's that long because of the traffic. I mean, it was a pretty good distance, but it was because of the traffic. So I was in traffic one day, headed home. I was actually on Main Street, almost, close to being home. And I just had this, that same overall overwhelming feeling of just longing to go back to Georgia, longing to go back to a city that's not crowded, a longing to get out of the city. And this overwhelming feeling I've had a million times, but this particular day, this overwhelming feeling became a song. The song, again, like when a song comes to me, it just comes to me. I record it on my recorder so that I don't forget the melody and how it goes. I recorded it instantly, and then when I got home and I pulled into the driveway, I finished the song right there. Out of Darkness, the city. Coming out of the city is the parallel to coming out of Egypt. When I think of a big city, I think of living in Egypt. The word Mitzrayim is the Hebrew word for Egypt. And that word can mean Egypt, but it can also mean to be confined or constricted, and to constrict the spirit. City life constricts my spirit. So when I think of a big city, I think of Egypt. When I think of coming out of a big city, I think of coming out of Egypt. When I think of coming out of Egypt, I think of coming out of a big city. So like when the children of Israel were in Egypt, that was the metropolis. That was the big city. That's where everybody went to depend on food and clothing, and everything that you need is there. Whereas Israel was the countryside, the land flowing with milk and honey, wide open spaces. There's a scripture in the Bible that says, "You will extend my borders." I don't know about you, but I want my borders to be extended. I don't want to be confined in this city. On a personal note, just so you know, I had to come back from Georgia for health reasons, not for my own personal wanting to. It was God's will. I've been back here 11 years now. So it was definitely his will for me to come back. And he told me why he wanted me to come back. There was many reasons, actually. Even Moses was taken out of Egypt and was in Midian for 40 years, tending the flocks, being in the wide open space, being able to hear from Yah. It's so much easier for me to hear from God when I'm not in the city. When I'm in the city, it's almost like there's static. There's too much static, and I really, really, really have to press in hard. I really, really, really have to get to a quiet place. When I was living in Georgia, it was like so easy. Like, I don't know, it just flowed. It was like the communication signal wasn't being hindered by, I don't know if it's the electromagnetic frequencies and just the hustle and bustle, but it wasn't being hindered. And that's another reason why my heart longs to be back in, more of the country and away from the city. Not to mention like wanting to get out of the city because of, all the stuff happening in the world, but everything is in God's plan, and then eventually he brought Moses back to Egypt. And what was the reason for that? The reason for him bringing Moses back to Egypt was so that he could bring more people out of Egypt. And that's exactly what Yah told me when he brought me back here. He says, I need you to go back. There was many other reasons, but one of the things that he did tell me was, I need you to go back so that others can come out. When I tell you that I came back home to this city reluctantly, it was very reluctantly. In fact, I know that my health issue was caused by Yah. When I was in Georgia for those 3 years, I said on numerous occasions, God would have to put me in a chokehold and drag me back to Tampa because I'm never coming back. I'm never coming back. So Yah had to put me in a chokehold and drag me back to Tampa to bring me back because I wasn't coming. I was not going to come. And even when I knew it was his will, even though I didn't fully understand why, I was still fighting to stay in Georgia. Even when I came back, I was still saying, I'm back, but I'm going to be leaving out of here soon. And there was people of God in my circle who said to me, no, he's got you back here. You're going to be here a while. And I really did not take that well. So this song is about that longing to not only come out of the big city, not only just to come out of Egypt, but also to be delivered out of our old ways, to be delivered out of sin, to be delivered from the places we no longer belong, and into a new land where Yah has fresh plans, fresh atmosphere for us to grow and prosper. Let us not forget, as people of the covenant, that we are not just called to come into covenant with Yah and stay in a protective bubble. I want that bubble. I wanted that bubble. Like, I loved that bubble. But he really forced me to go back to Egypt. Don't forget, there are others who need to come out of Egypt. Don't forget the ones still in darkness. Just because you've come into the light, don't forget the ones that are still in darkness, that need you to go back into darkness and shine your light. That's what Yah wants to do. He wants to take you out of darkness into his light, fill your cup with his spirit, and then take you back into that darkness so that you can shine and fill others. I pray that will speak to somebody who was like me and didn't necessarily want to go back to the darkness. When I say darkness, that could be anything. That could be anywhere. It could be not in the city, but you're gonna find a lot of darkness when you're in a big city. You have to pray to Yah to give you a heart for the people who are still there. You have to pray to Yah to give you a heart for the people who need the light that is in you. Every one of us is going to have our personal exodus. We're all going to experience being in Egypt, living in sin away from the Most High, or just not as in covenant with Him as we should be, and having that moment when He delivers us and brings us out and brings us to Mount Sinai so that we can receive the covenant. And then Yah will take you back to Egypt so that you can bring others out. I pray that this song blesses you. I hope that you don't forget those in darkness, and you don't forget that Yah has called you not to covet what He showed you, but to share it with those who need it, those that still need the truth and need to hear the truth. So the first album is Out of Darkness. This is actually our third official song off of the album Out of Darkness, and this is the title song, Out of Darkness, the City. And first we had Gone Too Far, then we had the Gone Too Far remix, then we had Empty Me Out, that moment when you first turn to Yah and you have all that joy. And now Out of Darkness, the City is you realizing, this is not where I'm meant to be. Please deliver me out of this Mitzrayim, this city that constricts my spirit, where I can't be free to worship Yah the way I was designed to. And then the next album is going to be Into the Light. So we have Out of Darkness, and then Into the Light will be a completely different sounding album. And in fact, all of the songs on this album, Out of Darkness, are going to have different sounds. The first three have been more of electronic sounds. The next song on the album is going to have more of a pop rock sound genre to it. The next two songs, actually, the next one has more of a rock genre sound, and then the one after that actually has it's more pop rock type sounding. So I hope you'll stick around for our journey to the kingdom as we make our way from rock bottom all the way to the kingdom with making music. I hope you enjoy. I hope this blesses you, and I will see you on the next video.